Even though the engine was outside of the Integra, there was still way too much work to be done before even celebrating. We still had many issues to fix, many parts to acquire, and the B20 still had to be installed. And even after we took care of all those things, we still didn't know if any other problems would surface once we started the vehicle. So this swap actually took longer than I anticipated, and that's because I had to work around my work schedule, working against the weather conditions, battling the lighting. But with the help of my team, it was a lot easier and a lot of fun. We all worked really hard to finish as fast as possible, and many long hours were put into the swap. But we also enjoyed the quality time we spent wrenching on this vehicle together.
Con una vibe bien chingona, ¿no? Así, ¿no? ¿Cómo se va a ver?
So you would imagine that finding parts for a Honda would be an easy task. Finding some of these parts was actually harder than making YouTube recommend our videos. After asking all of my car friends, going to junkyards, going through every single listing possible on OfferUp and Craigslist, I was able to find all the components that I needed. It was time to begin removing all the old junk and installing the fresh new and used parts that we needed to make this Integra handle better than it ever has. So I actually spent a whole day fixing the power steering leaks, which consisted of the power steering rack leaking, and that's why it had to be replaced for a new one. The pressure hose was also leaking, as well as the return hose, so the whole steering system had to be redone. But the rack is done. The motor mounts are done, so the engine is ready to go inside now. We have it all assembled. This is the B20. I still have to change the valve covers on it. I'm going to use these valve covers, but I'm waiting for the valve cover gasket, so everything has been transferred into this engine. All we have to do is pick it up, install it, put everything back together, and it's going to be a wrap. I think the engine is ready to go in. We'll see how it goes. So the engine's in the car. Been waiting for this moment for a while. Finally happened. A lot of hard work. This isn't even mine. This is Enrique's. I'm so tired, I can't even talk. Fucking catch later. After long hours and a lot of uncomfortable positions, the B20 was inside of the Integra for the first time.
Welcome, guys. Alright, skip a few hours forward. The engine and the transmission, they are pretty much inside, pretty much done and installed in the engine bay. Angel already finished most of the install or the swap by himself. He couldn't wait for me because he just wanted shit to be done already. As you guys can see, it's dark as hell already. And now we got Angel, aka NSAV, aka Penny Dropper, aka Mr. Dark Chocolate. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, bro. He's working on the engine mounts and what else?
I don't even know what's going on anymore. I'm too freaking tired. I just want to get it done.
Bro, you've been doing this shit all day. Bro, I came back from work and you're still doing this shit. So, how many hours have you fucking been doing this for?
What time is it?
I don't know, it's like 8:40 at night.
Start at 11 in the morning.
They've been here for about, what, 10 hours?
Yeah. 10,
11 hours. So I'm still going because we still got a lot of work to do. A lot of wiring, radiator, and all that. You think we're going to finish tonight?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm too tired. Okay, so I think today is the day that we're actually going to finish the Integra. All the wiring is done. Also have to do the bypass on the ECM to make sure that this thing runs without the crank sensor. Today's gonna be the day. Oh, I gotta bleed the cooling system as well. That's gonna take a little bit. So this is the wiring that I was doing, the crank sensor and the knock sensor bypass underneath the dash of the vehicle, right where the ECM plugs in. I think I did it right. If not, once I try to start it, it's gonna smoke and it's gonna start catching on fire and stuff, but I think I did a good job. I did some quick splices. That way I can reverse it if I wanted to, and instead of cutting the wires, I just depin the connector and actually remove them. Let's get some POB going. gotta put in the radiator, new hoses, battery. That should be it. So there were a few other things done behind the scenes just to make sure that everything was fresh before even starting the car for the first time. For example, change the oil, change the transmission fluid. I also changed the spark plugs, replaced the valve cover gasket, and also set the proper ignition timing. Alright, let's take a moment to appreciate how clean this engine is. That's how you know it's low mileage. And now let's compare it to the old engine that was in the car. Sludge in the engine, between the cams and everything. Well guys, there it is, ready to be started. Put a torque wrench to everything on this motor, so I hope everything stays in one piece when I try to crank it. I'll put the camera over there to catch if anything blows up. Started right up, but there's a noise that I'm not sure where it's coming from, so sounds pretty good, so it's saddling nice and smooth. I hear a little ticking, so the valves sound like they need to be adjusted. Is done. Looks pretty good though. It's actually running unlike with the other engine, so that makes me happy. It's been running for a little bit. It's running a little bit better. I didn't even think to realize that I was going to be running a little bit rough because the timing was going to be off. I'm happy, but at the same time I kind of worry that something's going to go wrong. I just have that in the back of my mind, or I won't be sure until I drive it. So now that everything was taken care of, it was time to ship it like FedEx. So here you will see the difference of how the engine bay was looking before the swap and now after the swap. The funny thing is that even after all this work, the engine bay still kind of looks the same. It's just a little bit cleaner. That's because both of the engines are almost identical, but what matters is that the performance of the vehicle is actually going to change, and also the handling. So we have a set goal of how we want this Integra to handle and perform. Even though it hasn't changed much in the past few years, I promise you it is going to start changing now. While this Integra still needs a lot of cosmetic work, I'm just happy that it's finally running and it's reliable for once.